What's up, guys? Hey, I'm here this morning. I got a story from a buddy of mine that I wanted to share that kind of made me think of something. A lot of you guys know I'm pretty convicted on where I'm at, and I love a good message. If I see one, I think it's powerful. I want to share it, and I want somebody else to get something out of it. If I've gotten something, I want somebody else to get something out of it too. I think it's only better if we can pass this stuff on and spread good in a time of a lot of bad, or what seems a lot of bad. I want to spread something good out there. So I thought this was really good. In this situation, a buddy called me up. He was ticked off about a situation that was happening with his job. And what was happening was in his business, he was billing a client, and the client sent a random email or didn't show up for an appointment, but sent a random email after that saying that they couldn't pay the bill, and that they would get at it when they could. And so, excuse me, that's a hard email to get as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, or anybody just trying to conduct business. Okay, that's a hard one to get. But he was complaining to me, and he goes, "Man, I called him up right away, and he was." He goes, he didn't answer the phone. Instead, he responded with another email back, talking about some other mumbo jumbo, and it was a tough place. And so obviously he was ticked off. My buddy was really ticked off about this. And so I was sitting here thinking about it, and I'm like, man, I'm going to use that story and share it with you guys. And I thought it was funny. And if you got stuff like this, man, share a quick story in the comments. Leave a comment, man. If you've had some similar frustrations, or maybe you've gone through this issue before yourself personally, share it. I love hearing those stories. Those stories are powerful when we come through those and we're able to triumph on the other side. But the issue this outlines that a lot of people have problems with in our world is running away from problems, right? Running away from issues in their life. And running away from any sort of traumatic or non-stable events that might be showing up on your timeline. And the issue with that, I wrote down, the issue with it is this causes a lot of problems in our life, right? And so I wrote down, I got my notes here that I wrote, but I wrote down a couple don'ts. And the big thing with this, right, as like in the title of the video, is running at your problems, not away from them, right? Running at the things in our life that are supposed to sharpen us as weapons, and not away from the things and really become dull in this life that we're living. And so there was a couple don'ts that I did. And one is obvious by the story that I was sharing with you guys. What's up, Jay? Bryce. One is, if you got a problem that shows up in your life, and this might be relationally, this might just be overarching problem at work, it might be in your marriage or something, or financial or whatever, the first place to run is not to email or text, or especially if it's a relational event, but it's not to go into those places. And so exactly what the story that I was sharing with you, my buddy did the right thing, picked up the phone. He called to see what was going on, and guy avoided him. Josh, go Grizz, baby. He avoided him, and he emailed back instead. Well, okay, I know a lot of you guys will justify some of these moves in our lives, like maybe I was busy, I'll just hit you with a text or email back just to get back to you real quick. But when we're talking about problems, like real issues here, this takes another level of respect that we have to give it. This isn't like, hey, I'm going to call you back right after this, but this is using that as an excuse to avoid the problem. And we do it a lot, right? We do it all the time. This happens in jobs where you get an email or a message or text, and you're like, what the heck did they mean by that? So you assume they know what they mean. You know exactly what they mean, so you fire back, and all of a sudden you guys are escalating this issue a whole lot bigger than what it is supposed to be. All right? And the second is, don't go gossip to somebody about this, because I tell you what, if the enemy is running away, all right, the enemy will give you somebody to gossip about this person, and all of a sudden you're blowing up this issue that was never meant to be blown up. Okay, and really the issue behind this is we're called to be thrown at our problems. Why? It's because we're supposed to be sharpened by them. We're supposed to be made better by it. And the thing is if you want to be at an elevated place in your life, there's no way you can be elevated if you're not using problems to stack up to stand on. Okay? And the problem is, so many of us want victory. So many of us want extra money. So many of us want, awesome marriage. So many of us want an awesome job. But the problem is you're never going to get any better if you don't face the issues or face those problems in those situations to make you better. And the beauty of it is when you do these things and you make it through the problem, you fight through to the other side of these, you end up being way stronger than you ever were running away from it, all right? If you run away from your problems, you stay weak and you stay in a place that you're not supposed to be, all right? We're supposed to progress. We're supposed to be taking steps, getting bigger in our faith, stronger in our marriages, stronger in our jobs, smarter upstairs, all right? We're supposed to be getting all these things better as men and as women growing in this life. And so I got a couple do's that I wrote down when we have a problem, all right? These are very simple. There's no explosion in the brain to anybody, but I'm hoping you guys hear some of these things because these are some things that I've taken to heart in a big way in my life. We've all been in places where we've avoided issues, but this is something that I've taken to heart in a huge way. Dr. Kramer, I see you. But big do's, right? If you got a problem, the first thing you want to do is go to the person. All right, go to the person. One of our don'ts was go gossip to somebody else. I'm not saying don't counsel with somebody else. That's a different thing, right? Gossiping is I'm going to complain about somebody to somebody else who wants to hear complaints about that person, right? Counsel is when I'm going to ask somebody and I'm seeing what they would do in that situation. All right, so go to the person. Go to the person. What does that do? It immediately deflates the situation. I can't tell you how many times you get fired a text, somebody ticked off about something, and you pick up the phone, immediately talk to them, and it just deflates the whole situation. Nobody can be keyboard warriors anymore. We can't fire off random comments and get ticked off, right? Pick up the phone, call the person. Joey, come on. One of the greatest things I appreciate about our friendship is counsel. It's good, brother. It's one of my closest friends right there, Dr. Joseph Kramer. But go to the person. All right, but a couple things when you're going into this, call them, right? But one big thing that you want to do before you call them is you got to set your mindset for a place of understanding. That's going to be huge. And so, I'll tell you, I've had lots of these situations where somebody who's ticked off at me, I give them plenty of reason to do that, okay? I can be a jerk a lot of times. But you call the person immediately if they fired you a text or a bad situation or whatever. I'm running at my problem right now, and I set this mode of or this mindset of understanding, and I can call you up and say, hey, what's going on? What did you mean by this text? Or did you mean this? I want to check my understanding of that. What's happening? Talk to me. What's happening right now? What's rolling around your head? And what happens is now we're forced to verbalize that situation, or maybe, it goes another way we didn't direct. But if it's, here we go, Austin's got, what if it goes a different direction than your mindset was? That's a big thing to be prepared for, right? Because this could go to a different direction. Here's the thing, if you're convicted in your belief about where you are and you have a foundation of what you stand on in your life, all right, you can realize that what's happening on the other end of that line is not about you. Like you might have done something to trigger it to go over the edge, which very well could be the case, but it's not about you. Ultimately, what people say and do is about them, not you. That is a huge truth, okay? So when it's going, you control what's happening. I tell you, one time I got fired off a text with somebody close in our lives, and it was a pretty nasty one, and I just called them up immediately, and I was like, what's happening? What's with this? And they started going on a tirade, and I just asked them, I said, hey, can we bring this down just a notch? And I kept myself under control, and we were able to outline the real issue in the problem, and I could stick to my conviction and make choices accordingly. Because if you're able to breathe, come in with a mindset of understanding, all right, but stick to your own convictions and values, All right, now you can walk through working out a scenario, but also stick to your guns. All right, I'm not letting anybody step all over me just because they got mad at something small. Right, but I want to run at the problem. I'm not going to run away from it because look. You can call us whatever you want, but I'm a man, and that's what we're supposed to do. Individuals in general, not just men, but women also. All of us are called to do this, but I take it on me as a man and as a leader of my house to do that thing because I want to set the example for my household and for the people in my community, right? Run at your problem. And so the last part with this is in those conversations, maybe you have something that's bothering you in that at the same time. If you go through this conversation and you've come with a mindset of understanding, seeing where they're at, and you're able to, let's see, hold on. I got Austin. So it's best just to walk away if the other side isn't willing to find a solution. Sometimes that's the case, man. Sometimes we got to walk away from it, and that's all right. And I'll tell you, actually, this is actually good leading into the last point of my do's. Is sometimes we have something in that situation where we feel something. So what I'll say is the last part of that do is after that, at the end of that conversation, make the correction, whatever that is. And that might look a little different for everybody. And Austin's question, when he's saying walk away if they're not willing to have a solution, I'll do that and I'll actually put them on it. If this is a significant relationship in my life, I'll give it the weight that it deserves. If it's not somebody who's and I'm not saying dismiss everybody. If this is not somebody I value in my life, I'm not going to give them much time. Come on, let's just be honest about that. But if this is a significant relationship that's brought a ton of value into your life, ton of good into my life, I've had these situations where they want to drop off, and I'll tell them, I'll just say, hey, man, you don't want to work with me a little bit, right? If they don't want to work with me, that sucks. You don't want to do that. I think our friendship or our relationship is a whole lot more than just walking away. And I feel like that anyways. That's why I'm having this conversation. I feel like you should do the same. And if not, that's okay. That's your choice. I got to respect that. We'll go do our thing. And sometimes that is walking away. Sometimes we can love somebody from afar and not have that strife in our life, because I can't have somebody stealing my energy away from my day and my family. And so I'll tell you, the last one I'll share with you is I had another situation where a buddy messaged me and he goes, I heard you were doing something like this. A little bit of an accusational, is that even the word? Accusatory text or something like that. And it kind of ticked me off. So I called him up, said, what's going on? And it deflated right away, right? I heard him out. I had a mindset of understanding, seeing what's going on, explained the issue. I'm like, no, that's not how this went down, or that's not how I felt about it, or what I meant by it. This is what my intent was. And I outlined that really easy. And then by the end of the conversation, this was another guy, and I said, well, hey, I got to get going, right? I got other things to do. And the last thing I left was, hey, I'm going to tell you this. Don't text me that crap again. All right? And I get serious about this. I want to get direct. I tell him, after we've had a good conversation, we've deflated the issue, I say, don't text me that again. If you got an issue, have enough respect for me or have enough consideration to call me. All right? And that's a big deal. All right? Especially me as a man, if you got a problem with me, man, come at me, because I would rather have you screaming at me and us communicating than us never talking again. That's tough. And so, but at the same level, man, if you do something wrong, I would think you'd be okay if we have a level of relationship or friendship. You'd be good with me holding you accountable. All right. So the same way, when I say don't send that crap to me again. If you got an issue, call me. We talk directly, we talk like men, and that's how we address our issues. All right? And so I wanted to share that with you. Yes, Gina, communication is key, it's massive. I tell you what, last thing on that, get all the crap out, right? Because eventually I'm a guy who talks through things, so eventually I got to get a lot of garbage out of my mouth before the gold ends up coming. But I tell you what, I'll get enough of that out where we end up being in a powerful place, a way deeper place in our relationships. than sitting on this surface level. Man, that doesn't move the needle. That doesn't do anything in my life. I don't know about you guys. Maybe it does for you. Maybe you're running from a problem if you just sit on the surface the whole time. But I don't like that. And so if I can't go deep with somebody, I'm probably going to veer away from that relationship, to be honest. So it's a tough place to be. But I wanted to share that with you guys. Run at your problems. The question would be, what is the problem you're running away from? And if you're running from one today, go take care of business right now. Don't wait on it. Don't sit here and say, I'm going to do it next week. Make the note in your phone. Make the text. Hey, we need to talk. And then call the person right away and say, hey, let's take care of business. And just get at that. And you're going to have a much more rich life, I can promise you, when you do those things. Hey, hope you guys are good. We'll talk to you later. If you have stuff, comments about stories, whatever, share them in the comments. Let me know what's happening. All right. Bye.